NetSparker, the developers of a comprehensive automated web security platform that includes web vulnerability scanning, assessment, and management. NetSparker's desktop and cloud-based security solutions employ a unique and dead-accurate vulnerability scanning engine that automatically verifies vulnerabilities and provides a proof of concept. For more information, visit them on the web at securityweekly.com/NetSparker. Are you an enterprise dissatisfied with overpriced analytics software that can't keep up with modern data? If so, then GravWell is the solution for you. GravWell is an unstructured data analytics platform for enterprises who demand total data visibility across their network. GravWell lets your security team go beyond the SIM and fuse data sources to correlate and answer questions you didn't know needed to be asked. Go to gravwell.io/securityweekly for an unlimited data trial and gain uncompromising visibility today. Well, welcome back, everyone, to Paul's Security Weekly. Are you going cloud native or deploying containers into the cloud in Kubernetes or not in Kubernetes? You're going to want to check out our next webcast with Signal Sciences. I just got a chance to catch up with Jimmy, one of our hosts of that webcast from Signal Sciences. He was like, yeah, so when I did Kubernetes like 3-4 years ago, I was like, you're going to be an awesome guest. I'm very much looking forward to that discussion in our upcoming webcast, which will be happening next week. We've also got a webcast on penetration testing and how it reduces risk with core security, a help systems company. Register for our upcoming webcast by visiting securityweekly.com/webcasts and visiting our on-demand library at securityweekly.com/on-demand. You get a CPE credit for each webcast or virtual training that you attend. Patrick and Ori are with us. Patrick is created and co-organizes the Layer8 Conference with Lea Snyder. He's also a fairly semi-regular host, I would say, here on Paul's Security Weekly. Patrick, welcome.
Thanks, Paul. It's always good to be able to join you on the show. I'm kind of sad that I can't join you in the studio down there at the G-Unit Studios. It looks a little bit lonely.
Yes, practicing the social distancing via technology on these shows today. Ori Zigindere? How do you say that, Ori? Zigindere. Wow, that's an awesome last name. I love it. Ori, welcome to the show. Wow. Ori's an offensive professional with a background in software engineering. Welcome.
Thank you very much. Thank you for having me on the show.
It is nice to have you here. And now,
Paul,
yes.
You weren't even close.
No, I wasn't. I'm not even close. You're right.
No one ever is. Ever.
Yeah, I think of myself as an offensive professional, but somehow I think Ori is something different.
Yes, most likely. Layer8Conference.com. Now, Ori, I know Patrick is, has done Layer8. Is this the third year, Patrick?
This sure is. Yes, the third year that we've done it. We're kind of bouncing around each year. Going to have it this year on June 6th. First year we had it a couple years ago out in Newport, Rhode Island, out there on the water, where everybody kind of loved that location. But then we moved into the capital city of Providence, Rhode Island last year, and we'd hoped to do that this year as well, but that didn't work out too well. So we're going virtual. We're going to still keep it on schedule, still have it June 6th, but we're going to go virtual with it. And I'm sure we can talk more about that as well.
Absolutely. And now, Ori, are you also helping with Layer8 as well?
Right. So WorkshopCon and Layer8 are partnering this year to we're bringing in the training component of the conference, and Patrick and Lea reached out to us and asked if we could handle that part, and we were more than happy to do so.
Now, Ori, it said in your bio that you do software engineering. What languages and frameworks are you working with?
I have done mainly web development, so I was stuck in the PHP, Python scripting languages mostly. I have a background in computer science, so I've done some systems development using C, C++, but that was more than 2 decades ago now, so it's been a while.
Gotcha. And now, what is WorkshopCon, Ori?
Yeah, so WorkshopCon is a newish entity. It's been around for just a little over a year now. We've had a couple of local events that we run near Boston. What we do is basically bring trainers and people who are looking to get information security training together. And our motto is world-class training at affordable prices, right? There's a ton of information security training out there that's available currently, but not all of it is very affordable. So our goal is to reach out to our local community and find out what topics they're interested in, and then find trainers who can come in to our area and run classes with those topics. And one trainer likened us to a wedding planners for information security training topic. So
no, that's a great analogy. I like that a lot. Now, I guess I want to get to what I think is the hard question for this interview, right? And we were talking about this week where there's been this explosion of virtual conferences and webcasts and online things. And for me, the one component that I think is tough for me when I think of a virtual conference is the benefits that I've gotten when I attend a training and or a conference and I'm sitting next to actual people, unlike I am in the studio today, right? There's actual people sitting next to me. And as human beings, oftentimes we can't help but just strike up a conversation with the person next to you. Or you're talking to someone else on the phone or you're overhearing a conversation and there's like this instant match, right? Whether that's they're talking about something that I want to learn about or they're talking about something I may have some experience with. You strike up a conversation and oftentimes you form a relationship because I sat next to a person in a training class and I formed a relationship. How do you translate that into a virtual event where we're all in our homes or offices or some mixture of the two?
So one of the ways that we're going to be doing that, and I have to give full credit where it's due because we're kind of totally stealing the ideas, that it was John Strand and Jason Blanchard and the whole team, Deb, Velma, everybody over Black Hills, that seemed to be extremely successful at pulling this off with Wild West Hacking Fest, San Diego, where I believe the way they described it was they turned their entire in-person conference for hundreds of people into a virtual conference in just 6 days. So what I'm trying to do and working with WorkshopCon as well as working with our entire team for Layer 8 is to try to mimic what Black Hills has done with Wild West Hacking Fest as much as possible. And they did a webinar on that, which anybody can watch, on YouTube. Black Hills has that out there on how they did it. And I'm really just going to try to follow their blueprint as much as possible. And I agree, the networking, the social aspect of a conference is one of the most important things. Like, you can sit there and watch YouTube videos all day and probably see lots of great conference topics, but it's going to be that interaction, that networking is going to be one of the huge values that you get from going to a conference. So how do you kind of replicate that? One of the ways that they were able to do it in the same way that we're going to try to be able to do that is going to be setting up a Discord server. So we have all kinds of channels set up, lots of different activities where we're going to try to kind of keep that social aspect going in many of the same ways. And it's kind of interesting when you think about it, that there's probably even more opportunities to be social with it being a virtual conference. Because when you think about being in a presentation, you're in one of those conference rooms, you're sitting in the chairs and you're listening to the presenter, you can't really talk a whole lot. You can't talk to the person next to you in the middle of a presentation. Maybe you have a question, maybe you want to ask the person next to you, like, what did he just say? Or how does that work? Or have you ever done that kind of thing? Or in my experience, I've been able to do that kind of thing as well, which seems to be the type of thing that, Paul, that you're kind of referring to, that you kind of start up those conversations that way. You can't really do that when you're in person in the middle of a presentation. However, when you have like a Discord server, and this is one of the things that I saw a lot with the Wild West Hacking Fest, is they had Discord channels set up specifically for each track of talks, and people would be watching the presentations online, and they would also then be in the Discord channel, and they can have conversations with each other about the presentation, or they can kind of then jump off and have one-on-one conversations if they want, or there's other channels that are set up so they can kind of have those conversations as well. So if you can almost even say that there's improved or additional social aspect to the online aspect of the conference now, with being able to set something up this way with this kind of chat server, Discord server setup with it as well. It's going to be interesting to see how that goes.
It's almost like that concept of the Facebook watch party.
Yeah.
That everybody was doing for a long time. And I'm assuming people are still doing. I mean, I think it worked well because people kept doing it. And the the BHAS Wild West Hack and Fest model, I think, worked really, really well. As a presenter there, I had great feedback and I had lots of great interaction with folks there as well.
And did you notice that you were getting any kind of like additional interaction with people, additional feedback, additional questions, more networking with people because you had that kind of channel going on, Larry?
I don't know, say it was more, but I think for me, just because we've done this a long time, we've done this in these same types of medium for a long time, where there's interactive chat while we're doing all of the stuff. I think as the questions were happening in Discord, I was able to address those comments in line without saying, so-and-so asked a question. We just rolled that in naturally to the conversation.
Right, and there's a plus and minus to that too. And I think it's just, I don't want to say one is better than the other, right? It's just very different. When you ask a question in a live presentation, you capture the entire room's attention as the person asking the question the very same way the presenter does as well. And I think there's a certain benefit to that everyone hears your question and you have the floor and the presenter can answer you. However, in a virtual digital sense, you can ask a lot more questions and have other people answer those questions and be more productive in that way. However, it runs the risk that your question might be missed. But in the live scenario, it may be you're not able to even ask your question because you're standing in line at a microphone on one side of the room, right? And then time is up and you're not able to ask your question.
Yeah.
So there's pros and cons to both.
Yeah, there is another risk too, Paul, is that while everybody in that chat room are answering the question, the alleged expert on the stage isn't answering the question or misses the question.
That's a great point.
Those other folks may be answering that question incorrectly.
Yep.
And there's also going to be probably some more degree of people feeling more comfortable to approach a speaker. Where in person, you hear a lot of times about like, I can't go ask him. That's Larry Pesce. He's one of the experts in this. I can't go talk to him. Where maybe on Discord, somebody's gonna be like, I can fire off this question and there's a one-on-one. You can create like a direct message to the speaker. Maybe they'll put that thing off that way and they'll kind of think
Patrick, have you seen the line to ask Larry a question after he's given one of his talks, right?
I have.
I mean, it's oftentimes even when it is Larry, obviously someone I've known for a very long time, we get together every week where he has done a presentation and everyone's asking questions. I'm like, I have a question for Larry. Like, I'll just call him after and ask it, right? So yeah, there's definitely that aspect too. Yeah,
it's going to be interesting to see the ways that those types of things work out for the speakers, for the interaction, and as well as for the trainings. To see how that's going to work as well. And one of the other huge benefits that I see to the online virtual, and maybe Ori can talk a little bit more about this as well, is going to be the greatly improved cost, because they're, like Ori talks about, that they have world-class trainers. And if somebody kind of looks at the list of topics and trainers that we have coming in, these are some of the top trainers in the world for some of these topics. And the great benefit that you have with the virtual is now we've completely eliminated all that travel costs. So you can easily drop $1,500, $2,000 on airfare, hotel, meals, all that kind of stuff. All that's gone. So now it's greatly reduced the cost.
And Patrick and Ori, to address, like, if I'm in a training class and there's a virtual chat room, let's say, and we're all remote, in a physical environment, if I'm struggling with a lab, or someone has next to me is struggling with a lab and needs help, I'm the person next to them. I'm going to do my best to help them. They're going to do their best to help me. In a virtual setting, if I'm struggling with a lab and I have a question, I can put it out to the entire classroom, and anyone in the classroom can respond. So in a training environment, Ori, right, that's a huge benefit.
Absolutely.
Well, I had a question.
Yeah. Go ahead.
So I've done online presentations live and pre-recorded, and I prefer the live. And as you say, the feedback in the chat session, really nice, helps connect with the audience. But I'm trying to map to teaching that way, where you can't see the look in the eye where somebody's hopelessly lost, or a chunk of the material isn't resonating, and you need to jump to that next level that you might have to cover. How do you fill the gap of keeping it all up at that level so the students their needs are met, they're not checking out, etc.? Or do you have to rely on the chat?
I think it's a great point, Lee. And I've been doing a little bit of testing with the software with at least one of the trainers. And one of the things that we're going to be doing is using software where each student in the class is going to have the option to turn their camera on. So the instructor can see the faces of each of the attendees of the students. So like you say, if there's going to have like that glassed over, frustrated, crying look on the face, then the instructor can see that kind of thing. And maybe during a break, kind of direct message that student, say, is everything going okay? Do you need kind of help? So that is a concern. That is something that we're thinking about, and is something that we're looking to address as well.
That'd be cool.
Ori, what types of training will be offered at the virtual Layer 8 conference?
Great question. So currently we have 7 topics listed. Mainly the categories are OSINT, social engineering, pen testing, and how to become a SOC superstar by O'Shea Bowen. So I believe he's been on your show before.
Yes.
So there is a pretty diverse group of training topics that are listed for this event.
That's awesome.
Yeah, just some of the speakers, some of the trainers that Ori and WorkshopCon were able to get are pretty much like also a who's who of some of the guests that you've had on here before. Got like socialengineer.org, Chris Hadnagy's organization is coming in to talk about OSINT. We also have the OSINT Curious, Micah Hoffman and his group coming in to talk about some of those kind of things as well. Coalfire Labs giving their training. Like Ori mentioned, O'Shea Bowens, who, some people, when you hear O'Shea talk about some kind of SOC and blue team stuff, people are like, I'd pay money to learn from this guy. Here's your opportunity. You can actually do that. O'Shea's giving his class not once, but twice, Thursday and Friday. It's a one-day class that O'Shea is giving at Layer 8.
Right. So there are currently 3 2-day trainings. So those will be Thursday, Friday. And then there are 4 one-day trainings. And then O'Shea's class happens to be the only one that's running both Thursday and Friday. And that we were hoping will give the opportunity to potential trainees to take 1 2-day trainings on both days if they want to.
Patrick, it seems to me that a lot of the presentations and training on OSINT are really focused on the offensive side. Do you have content that focuses on the defensive side? How do you protect an organization against OSINT and social engineering?
Yeah, that's a great question. And that's one of the things that I always try to tell people, because just like anybody else in our field, we often hear like, why are you teaching the bad guys how to do that kind of stuff? And it's like, well, we do it for awareness. So that way people can kind of know how to protect themselves. But one of the things that we do also say is that we are going to teach you how to defend yourselves as well. So at least one of the presentations that we have is actually going to be by a friend of mine. He's one of the directors now at Brown University's Masters in Cybersecurity program, Ernie Zaldivar. He's also a lawyer. He's got the Masters from Brown, where he did his entire thesis on how large organizations can protect themselves against social engineering. So we have Ernie coming, and he's going to be talking, giving a presentation specifically with all kinds of defense and how people can actually just defend against social engineering attacks.
I just want to say it's a great program at Brown University, which is obviously local here to Rhode Island. I spoke for them once when Alan Usis was the director. I believe Alan has retired.
Yep.
Patrick and I worked for Alan, right? You were there when Alan was there.
Yeah, sure
at
was.
Brown, yeah. And it's just a great group of people. I mean, they are so engaged with what you have to say, so passionate about cybersecurity, and really great that Ernie's able to give a talk on his thesis. That's awesome.
Ernie's actually taking Alan's job. So once Alan does officially retire and decide to completely give up the reins, maybe he has already, that is the job that Ernie is doing. So yeah, each year Brown has it's an executive program. So the students are only on campus for a couple of weeks each year.
Yep.
But yeah, 2-year program where these are generally mid-career people. So you're getting like top-notch, super smart people. And quite often
Oh, wait, so has Alan not retired? It was a rumor that Alan was retiring. So.
Well, he officially retired in the last time that I went in there because I do some advising for the students for their like capstone projects. So I was in there, I don't know, probably 2-3 months ago. Alan was still there. And that was one of the things that I asked him, like, when is your final day here? And
that's funny. But I love that he draws on folks that, worked with him there to help out. So that's cool. That's cool. Other questions, Lee? Sorry.
Yeah, no, it's all good. So I was thinking, as we switched from physical to virtual conferences, and the conference I'm sure will be run on an Eastern time schedule. Is that affecting your attendance because of students or potential attendees not in the local time zone anymore? Or do you think people will just get up early or late, however it translates for their time zone?
Yeah, I think the virtual is really helping in terms of people being able to attend, especially where we are normally in Providence, Rhode Island. It's not exactly it's not really an easy international city for people to get to, even though Boston's only about an hour away. But I'm always hearing from people. I've been contacted by people in Germany, Singapore, Japan, South Africa. Like, I would love to come to Layer8 Conference, but it's a one-day conference, not super easy to get to. And those are the people that are now super excited that we are gone virtual because they were able to attend. So yeah, we saw like a big jump in the ticket sales when we decided to go virtual, as well as the same thing with the WorkshopCon, with the training. Since people are able to now access this kind of world-class training with great presenters, and they can do it right from their own home. So it's turned out to be a huge advantage. That's another area that Black Hills talked about in their webinar about how they're going to be doing these virtual conferences in the future. And I think what both John and Jason kind of mentioned in there is that they've learned that they want to keep a virtual aspect in the future, even when they're going to go back to the in-person conferences when they can. And that makes perfect sense to me as well. It's kind of something that I've wanted to do a little bit, and it's, I guess, a little bit of a hard problem, but I guess calling it a hard problem is more of an excuse, I think, where it makes sense to have an in-person conference so that we can have that face-to-face networking, which people really love, but then also still be able to kind of stream it out live and keep up some degree of the social interaction to people online, so that even if they are, literally thousands of miles or continents away, that they can also still participate in the conference. So that's something that I'll probably want to keep up. I'm certainly hoping that for summer of 2021, we can be back in person meeting at the Rhode Island Convention Center, getting together for the conference, but keep up some degree of the virtual aspect as well, is what I'm kind of looking forward to be more inclusive and to get more people involved and let them be involved with the conference.
So speaking of face-to-face,
I'll echo what Patrick said. I think there are more people who can attend now that it is virtual, which is fantastic. And if I remember correctly, we already have a registration from Germany, which I honestly did not expect to have this early on, but it's fantastic that we were able to get like international attendance to an East Coast conference and a training event.
Very cool. So a question for you is, what does vendor participation look like now? Because you really don't have the vendor fair with the virtual, or do you? What's that going to be like?
Yeah, that's another thing that I also learned from the Black Hills guys a bit. And back to like the Discord channel, the vendors, sponsors, I call them partners, are going to get their own dedicated channel in there. And one of the things that we can kind of do is work with them to also kind of keep up with that kind of interaction where we're pointing people to their, for example, one of our partners is Bridge Technical Talent, who's a hiring firm, especially in technical fields. So we can certainly send people that way who are looking for jobs, and Bridge can also advertise what kinds of positions that they're hiring for. We can also do resume reviews, so people can kind of go off and meet one-on-one and go over their resumes. And the partners can also kind of put out little, maybe a trivia game, maybe little quizzes, whatever way to kind of interact. And I know, a lot of people in this field might kind of be a little more on the introverted side, myself included. I'm not always the best at kind of one-on-one or face-to-face interactions. And sometimes when I go through a vendor hall, I kind of make sure that I keep my social distancing anyway in normal times, unless they have some great swag that I want to go try to, stick a hand in there real quick and grab. But I'm kind of thinking that might be another area that's going to work out even better, where somebody can kind of lurk in the channel and see what types of things that the partners have going on, what kind of opportunities, what kind of information is going to be out there, where it can be then up to the various partners to kind of be talking about themselves and telling what kind of services they have, what kind of swag that they might be offering. There might be new ways that they can get. I know a lot of the things they're trying to do is lead generation, so they can kind of build up their lists a little bit. And then people might be a little less apprehensive about interacting and finding out more about them, because it's not really that face-to-face. It is going to be over a chat channel. So it's possibly going to lead to a little more interaction between the partners and the attendees.
So we could potentially eliminate the, sure, I'll answer that question, let me scan your badge first thing.
Oh, definitely. We will not have any badges to be scanned. I can guarantee you that. And I can also assure everyone, I know some conferences do it one way and we do it a different way, where our partners don't get any kind of information about our attendees. We collect as little information as possible. I have actually had to say no and turn down partners in the past, because one of their demands was that they get full attendee information, contact information, and that's just not something that we do. I don't even really collect it. Like this year, I am going to be requesting full mailing address information. Normally, all I ask people for is some first name, some last name, some email address. There's no guarantee that what I even get from those three is valid. But that's just so they can kind of get their ticket, and we can kind of make sure that we get the right person to get their ticket. But this year we are asking people for their mailing address, just so we can send them some swag after the conference. Like, we are planning on sending them some kind of stuff. So at least then they're also going to have that, whether that's going to be a badge, some stickers, any other type of swag, or other material from our partners as well. So that's going to be a reason that we're collecting information that way. But I can definitely assure people that information for the attendees is not going to the partners.
Patrick, what are some other talks that'll be happening at virtual Layer 8 Con? I guess I shouldn't say virtual Layer 8 conference, right? That makes it sound like it's not really a thing. It is a thing. It's just happening virtually.
Right. I was trying to find the right word for it. Right? It's like fully online. Is it virtual? Is it an internet conference? I don't really know. But one of the other cool things about Layer 8 is just the fact that we really focus on both social engineering and OSINT. I like to say we are the first and only conference that solely focuses on social engineering and OSINT, because there are conferences that focus on one or the other, and we'll see if eventually others do both as well. But also, like, Chris Hadnaghi at socialengineer.org each year runs his black badge competition, or I guess a black badge is usually issued to the social engineering capture the flag competition champion. And that's kind of neat that we kind of get those people who have won those competitions to come to Layer 8 and to be speakers. So, for example, we have last year's DEF CON social engineering capture the flag competition. Aleth Dennis is coming to be a presenter, where she's kind of talking about a lot of the pretext that she has. Whitney Maxwell, the previous DEF CON social engineering champion, is on our content committee. She will be there as well. The one before her, Chris Kirsch, is also again coming back. Last year, a lot of people had fun with Chris Kirsch's pickpocket competition, people running around pickpocketing each other legally, because Chris did give them stuff to do the pickpocketing with. So he's going to be there. But I'm also really excited that Shane McCombs from the Innocent Lives Foundation is coming to kind of give a presentation as well, since the Innocent Lives does great work. And one of the other things that I kind of learned from the Black Hills people is to give the attendees still lots of things to do. So we are going to still try to keep up our villages. In the past, we've had multiple villages at Layer 8. We've had the Mental Health Hackers Village. We've had the Tool Lockpicking Village. And I've been working with those guys to also keep up additional content. So Tom Williams from Mental Health Hackers is going to be there running the village, as well as Max Power is going to be running the tool, the lockpicking village. And one of the things that we're going to try to do is have even more content. So the main conference, main Layer 8 is going to have 3 tracks of talks, all day long. We're not taking any breaks. We're not even taking lunch break because, like Lee asked about earlier, with time zones, when is lunch? It depends on which time zone you're in. This might be in the middle of the night. So why should I say when lunch is? Take a break whenever you want. So we'll have 3 tracks going all day from 10 a.m. Eastern time till 6 p.m. Eastern time. And on top of that, the Mental Health Hackers Village is going to have their own track of mental health talks, and Tool will have their own track of lockpicking talks. So currently Max is going around and pulling in, talking to all his friends and all the expert lockpickers about things that they're going to be able to present on as well. But you're also asking about some of the other people that are going to be presenting. Joe Gray is going to be a presenter, as well as giving training with WorkshopCon, where Joe is going to be talking about metrics, where, I think that a lot of times when we have our conference and really talk about some of the different types of social engineering attacks, one of the things that gets missed is the metrics and knowing how successful that we are in the defenses that we have for social engineering. So Joe is going to come and talk about some of the metrics and using data science to provide some of the value in reporting. Micah Hoffman, another of the ones that's going to be at giving a training session, is also going to be one of the speakers talking about using OSINT for competitive, being able to go through Git for get OSINT out of that one as well.
So yeah, Patrick, I wanted to go back to the lockpicking presentations. It's something I hadn't considered watching virtually. The nice thing about that is I can get my lockpick set and do some prep beforehand, make sure that's on hand, and then if I'm watching that track, I can kind of follow along or practice some of the techniques as I'm learning them, which isn't always the case when you're at a talk. You're not typically in your home when you're like, I can have my lockpick set here. Right. I can have this computer here with this VM to kind of follow along and do that kind of stuff. Yeah, totally. That's awesome.
Yeah, we can sit here and do all of our, lockpicks and start pulling things apart and all that. Yeah, one of the things that Max was also talking about and we're working on is a way that the attendees can share their camera. So after Max and other people show them how to pick locks, if somebody's getting frustrated, normally in person, you can just kind of call Max over or one of his other tool volunteers and say, what am I doing wrong? How come this one's not popping for me? That might be a little bit of a struggle where it's virtual, and it still might be a little bit of a struggle because Max can't really put his hands on your lock and show you exactly how to do it. But one of the things that we're looking to do is find a way that the attendees can share their camera with Max and show exactly what they're doing and have him go, well, put a little more tension on your left hand or try the third pin in there, the types of things as well.
It's awesome. What else? What else is happening at Layer? This is really cool. I think I like this segment because we really talked about the different pros and cons of a physical in-person conference versus a virtual conference.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see how the future of it goes. Like every day we see new virtual conferences popping up, which is great. Being able to have all this kind of content all over the place. And it's going to be interesting to see how it goes forward. I mentioned, it's
no, Patrick. Sorry, my question is so we're going to use Discord for the chat, which since Black Hills, I was in a couple of Discord channels previously, but Black Hills adopted it. We're kind of spoiler alert going to be adopting it for our listeners as well. So look for that coming up, and I think that works as a community chat. I think it has, for me, it had features that were better than, Larry, since day one, we've had IRC, forums, Jabber, YouTube channel chat. We've had every communication with our audience, and I don't know if it just wasn't the right fit or the right time, right? Discord, I think, is a really good technology for this usage. My real question, Patrick, is when we talk about broadcasting the talks and having an audience, what is the technology you're going to be using for that?
Oh, yeah, that's a great question. So again, we're going to be copying what Black Hills did, and their recommendation was to go with GoToWebinar. So that was one of the first things that I did, and the people at GoToWebinar have been incredible with us. And if you want a little tip for listeners, that right now, LogMeIn, who is the GoToWebinar, GoToMeeting people, they have this incredible deal going on where if you are a medical facility or a educational facility or a nonprofit organization, they're giving away their service for free.
Wow.
So you can get GoToWebinar, GoToMeeting for completely free if you fall into one of those kind of categories. And I think it's for like 3 months or something like that. So I don't know why, but it seems pretty good. So we're going to be using the GoToMeeting for the training and using GoToWebinar for the conference, which, seems like a great thing to use. And it's been tested. Wild West Hacking Fest use it. Other conferences have been using it.
Yeah, John and I have been using it for our respective webcasts for well over 5 years consistently. And that has been our platform of choice.
So it's been certainly means tested by some of the best.
Yep. And for the record, Patrick, I just did a private security conference yesterday that John hosted on his GoToWebinar platform. And we all shared our cameras and we could see all of the other students in attendance. We did run into some limitations as to how many webcams could actually be shared. And I think there were 2 people that joined that couldn't share theirs, but still it was a lot of fun to be able to see a whole bunch of people.
Yeah, I think the limit for GoToWebinar might be 6 cameras, and I think for GoToMeeting might be 25. So it really depends on which platform that you're using. I guess you just kind of think about which use case that you have. Like for the training, you want probably more face-to-face interaction with the people that are there for that educational part, and for the conference presentations where you might have one person talking off of their slides to hundreds of people. That might be more of kind of a webinar, one direction kind of presentation that you're looking for there.
Yep. Yeah, we definitely had more than eight cameras. Yeah, it was good.
Awesome. Patrick, Ori, anything else you want to share about Layer8 and or WorkshopCon?
So,
really
yeah, I'll let Ori go first.
Yeah, great.
Patrick's been talking a lot.
Sure. So this is obviously like a new thing for everyone going virtual. This is our first virtual training event as well. If people want to check us out, just visit our website or Layer8 website and find a link to the Eventbrite page for all the great listings of trainings that we have. We're really looking forward to run this event. It's super exciting, and we just want people to sign up and try out these different topics.
Patrick?
Yeah, and also if there's other conferences or organizations out there looking for training, you probably can't do much better than to talk to the WorkshopCon guys. And not to speak for Ori, but I'm guessing if you get in touch with him, they might be able to do stuff for them as well. It's just going to be our training is June 4th and 5th, and the conference is going to be June 6th with, like I said, 3 tracks of incredible speakers on social engineering and OSINT, as well as those villages that we'll have on the Mental Health Hackers Village and the Tool Lockpicking Village.
And Patrick, to sign up for Layer8 conference and or the WorkshopCon component, the website?
Yep, you can go to layer8conference.com where we have a link to the Eventbrite. Oh, and one of the other great things that we have on there is that we have partnered with 3 great nonprofit organizations. So when you purchase your ticket to the conference, you can optionally donate an additional $10. You can pay an extra $10, and that is going to go to a nonprofit of your choice, where you can choose which one of the 3 that it goes to. And those 3 include Innocent Lives Foundation or Tool Boston, that's the Lockpickers Organization of Boston, or to the Mental Health Hackers Group. So when you purchase your ticket to Layer8 conference, you can optionally choose an extra $10, and that $10 will go to one of those 3 organizations of your choice.
Patrick and Ori, thank you so much for your work on this conference and for supporting our wonderful security community. And what are the dates for the conference, just so people can plan?
The conference is going to be Saturday, June 6th, and the training is Thursday and Friday, June 4th and 5th.
Fantastic. Patrick and Ori, thank you so much for appearing on Paul Security Weekly.
Thanks for having us.
With that, we'll take a short break, come back with the security news. Stay tuned.